It's time for another collaborative podcast that no one asked for. From the creators of Cases of Continuity, No New Friends, and Big Beautiful Dis, get ready for Creators United. And now, give it up for your hosts, Ryan, Dane, and Scott.
Welcome to Creators United, the podcast. Well, it's three creators getting together, talking about stuff. Sometimes we talk about creative stuff. Sometimes we talk about politics and what's your favorite national disaster. You never know what to expect. But I'm your host from the No New Friends podcast for tonight, Scott. With me, as always, the creator, the genius behind the YouTube channel Big Beautiful Dis. That is the No New Friends podcast winner of the Harriet Tubman Award, Dane.
Hello. How are you all? How are you guys doing? Scott, how are you doing? That's what I want to know.
I'm good.
It's been such a long time.
It has been a long time. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Let me introduce.
Yeah, sure.
You know him as many names. He goes by SG. Sophisticated gentleman. Ryan. Mags. Giles Garman.
Giles Garman.
Maybe Niles Gorman on something else. We don't know.
RJ.
Trivia
tour guide, right?
RJ.
I think I'm in the double digits now.
Trivia tour guide. Yeah. That's right. The creator of Wow. Cases
That is my
of
new show.
Continuity.
Wow.
What?
No, my
Cases
new
of
show's called Wow.
Continuity.
The Wow podcast.
And the co-host of Into the Disneyverse. We've got Mags, Ryan. SG. I'm not going to go through them all again. Ryan, how are you?
You know, as the wise philosopher once said, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone.
I said that was me. I
That
said
was
that.
deep. Wow,
Yeah.
that was deep.
I said that. He's stealing that quote from me.
So before we get into the topics at hand, Dane, you've got a Disney YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Ryan, you are on a Disney podcast. So
I am.
I'm sure that the big news of the day is not going to be on Remy's Roundtable. So let me bring the big news of the day. And that's the new changes to Genie Plus.
You mean
I
Fast
don't
Pass
care.
Plus?
Essentially, it's Fast Pass
it's
Plus.
paid Fast Pass Plus.
It is paid Fast
Somehow
Pass. Now,
made Lightning Lane worse. I don't know
Yeah.
how they did it, but
Dane, that is exactly what I said. I said, okay, so here you did. You took a program that everybody hates.
Yeah.
But the people that like it really love it. Like, I really love it. I love Genie Plus. And you took the one element that I love about Genie Plus and you took that away from me. I'm an annual pass holder. I literally go every single week. I don't want to wait in the lines.
well, and you also work at
Versus
Al's
me.
Toy Barn, so you get a cast member preview.
Versus me, when I go
Dane, have you ever had
on
your
a
taint
vacation,
licked?
I would need to see everything. I want to see everything.
I get that. And so I get
And
your
it's different. It's
point.
completely different, as you said.
Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, do you want to
completely.
repeat that question?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
I just check marked something off of the
Okay.
suggested lines text
Awesome.
message that I got. So
I think I heard the question correctly, but
You
I'm
heard
not
it.
sure. So
you
okay,
definitely
okay.
heard it
Well,
correctly.
I didn't hear the question. Now I feel left out.
Watch it on replay. Someone will clip it. Someone
Probably.
will
You really think I
definitely
want to
clip
watch
it.
this on replay?
It will definitely be clipped, Ryan, and I'm sure it'll be in the upcoming episode of No New Friends podcast.
Probably. Are you going to use one of your lightning lanes on Indiana Jones?
No. That is a
Can
complete.
you even use it on Indiana Jones?
You can.
Does
That's
that
in
get
tier
you like
2.
the front row or something?
Just gives you early access.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Getting it on the shows are a waste of time.
This is true.
Absolute waste of time.
What will it take to make you buy a lightning lane for Indiana Jones? Is there like something that we could do during the Twitch streams where we're like, hey, you get this so many amount of hearts or something that you have to buy like a challenge kind of thing?
Well, I mean, if we did a challenge that benefited the group, like the challenge, the thing that I have on,
It's benefiting you because you get to watch Indiana Jones.
I get to watch it anyway. I'm never locked out of that show.
Nah, that's true.
What
So,
if you
like-
do it as a fundraiser to raise money to like I don't know, fight childhood leukemia or something.
I mean, I'll do something like that.
Why,
where I have
why'd
to
you
see.
laugh at childhood
I'm
leukemia,
not.
Scott?
I'm laughing at you.
No, I'm not. I'm just, I don't know what your fixation is with childhood cancer tonight.
That's different. That's
I
completely different.
Do we go to break? I don't remember. It's
no,
been
we don't go to break.
Okay,
We just
great.
we could just go straight through.
So I do want
We don't have to, we don't, we're young. We don't have to take a break, unlike you.
I do want to get into more important things.
Okay.
And that's kind of catching up with the two of you and what's been happening since I haven't been here in a couple months. And it's been tough to get together and whatnot. So
You listen to
Dane,
the previous episodes that you missed?
just call me Mary. Dane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Samaro, great work.
Dane, I want to talk to you about the success with the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And
there's been a little bit of that. I could probably fill you in on a couple things that's been happening. Yeah.
What's new? What opportunities have opened? Tell me all about what's going on.
Well, honestly, a couple things that I can't really talk about yet that have opened up. There's been a few things.
Nobody listens to this podcast. You can say whatever you want.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I was
including you, apparently, because we talked about similar things on our last episode about Dane's YouTube channel.
Wait a second. When I suggested this, why did you guys say it was a good idea then?
No, dude, there's been a lot more even since last episode. We didn't get much.
We didn't get that deep last.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a few things. I've surpassed 2,000 subscribers now.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've checked your channel. I'm seeing that right now. 2,100 subscribers.
Yeah.
Your Beyond the Glass video, which for those of you, this is your first episode. It's a documentary about the Walt Disney World Animation Building, which is no longer there. Has almost 30,000 views.
Yeah, it's 1,000 away from 30,000. Yeah. It probably hit it tomorrow.
That's incredible.
I'm not saying that to be cocky. It will probably hit it tomorrow because it's been getting
it's about 1,000 views a day,
like 2,000 per day or so.
Yeah.
I think over the past 48 hours, it's gotten 2.1.
Yeah, this is
it's
incredible.
1,000 per day.
It's incredible. You now have a little blurb on Wikipedia, which is really cool. So, is this surpassing your expectations, or is it meeting your expectations?
It's both meeting and surpassing. It met my expectations because it took off in the circle of animators that work there. I expected that, and I expected it to get at least 10,000 views. What I didn't expect is it to skyrocket my channel like it has.
Right.
That's what I haven't expected. And the hype of people actually talking about it on like social media, it's kind of died down because it's been a month yesterday since it's been out. But it's still getting a lot of suggestions, both from word of mouth, and there's still a lot of people that haven't seen it that are fans of me. And I know I know people in my family that haven't seen it yet, to that level of people who haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, YouTube's pushing it out there way more since I'm in the partner program now.
Yeah, and you haven't even hit the second wave of this thing, because this thing, you're going to have another wave.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is.
It is incredible. And you did everything right with how you released this, with releasing a trailer and with creating some buzz around it. 2 trailers, sorry. Creating some buzz around it before the release.
I'm working with people on the inside and helping them to put out the news as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that your pre-release or your day of release of the kind of roundtable or panel interview with 2 of the animators, I thought was brilliant.
That was a lot of fun too.
Yep.
If anyone hasn't seen that, it's on the Clip Archives channel if you want to rewatch it.
Yeah, and I thought that doing it as a premiere was absolutely brilliant, especially when you dropped the documentary.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cool, and it was a decent sized group for
it was a pretty
your first
decent amount
like
of
this.
people there for the premiere. Yeah,
I think if you put out another something like this with now the increased followers you have, I think it's much bigger. But for what you had at the time and the followers that you had at the time, I think it was a good amount. and we all fell in love with it. And what was cool about it is instantly you had 15 to 20, however many people were there right then.
I think the peak viewers was 25 at one.
Okay, so 25 people who are now like super engaged and super. They were fans.
Yeah.
They were fans of it, and I mean, you saw how many times I shared that thing out. I shared that thing out every day for a week because it was so good. It was so good, and I wanted you to have that. It definitely surpassed my expectations. I knew it was going to do well.
Mhm.
I didn't know that it was going to be this quick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, same thing with me. I didn't know how long it would take to be successful. I didn't think right out of the gate it was going to be a massive hit like it had. Like
right.
70,000 follower Twitter accounts are posting about it. Like
Mhm.
it got a whole article written about it on laughingplace.com, which
Yep.
is a massive Disney news source. One of the biggest Disney history writers, I guess. His name is Jim Hill. He has a lot of he has an animation podcast. He talked about it on 2 episodes for a solid whole segment. So it's like all of this stuff that is happening, it's just building it more and obviously, getting it out to more. I think it's, according to YouTube, it's had like over 200,000 impressions or something crazy. Which is pretty insane to think about. And this is kind of, I mean, I'm working on something in the fall with somebody. And it's not the YouTube. I'll just say, I can't say exactly what it is, but I've hinted and I've said that the YouTube premiere is not the only premiere that this thing will have. And there's more things on the horizon. So its release is only the release.
That's what I said 24 years ago.
If you're picking up when I'm
spoiler alert, a kid came.
Yeah. If you're picking up when I'm laying down,
Yeah. So have you gotten the attention of Disney at all?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
I can tread lightly.
Okay.
So obviously I've never talked about this publicly.
Okay.
Very few people
This
know
is an
about
exclusive for 3 people.
And well, this is pretty big news for those 3 people. I had to get cleared by Disney to make this film.
Really?
Yes, because of I guess it's not that it's known because of Rachel being a current Disney not cast member but animator. I had to get it cleared by their media department to release it. And it was no problem. It was no problem with them. They were like, yeah, they were like, release this. This is really
so
good.
they got to watch it beforehand.
Yeah, I had to send it to Rachel, who then she because of ethics and I sent it to everyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think it's ready. I want your guys' blessing. And everyone was like, yes. And I had to send it to her because of the media team, the PR people, I guess, requesting that they send it to her and therefore send it to them as well.
Right.
And I know for a fact that they cleared it and they watched it. Because I got emails. That's
interesting. Yeah.
And I know that I was working on somebody, I can't say his name because he's not involved with the project at all. It's just talks. Somebody who's involved now, who is a current Imagineer.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who currently works for the park. So obviously we had to go through their the Disney World's media team. And unfortunately, we couldn't make that interview happen, even though it was technically cleared by Disney. It was cleared by Disney when the film was finished because I sent it to them because I wanted to send them a completed film because they were like, we know about the project, but I was like, they need to see a completed film. Like I can't send them anything less. So we couldn't make this interview happen, but I was emailing with this person after the release, a few weeks after the release, and I know for a fact that it has gone through the Disney World media team, And the reason I know this is because I said this on the last episode. I got an invite, a media invite to Tiana's. So I must have been put on some sort of list. I don't know what list that is, but it's apparently a good list. So yes, it has gotten.
I'm on a list.
Yeah, I know you are. And yeah, so it has definitely gotten Disney's attention.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Disney calls you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And says, we want you to be on our production team helping with documentaries or whatever. We want you on our creation team, but you have to give up your YouTube channel. What do you do?
Like realistically looking at this, as long as I don't have to delete the videos, I would probably take them up on it.
You sell out. Just kidding.
Like realistically looking at it, if it was like a, right position and everything, yes, as long as I can keep the videos up. If they said take down the documentary, I would be like, no.
Yeah, no, it's too important.
Yeah. But
what if Disney bought it? Would you sell the documentary to Disney to put on Disney Plus?
If I had some sort of creative, if I still own some sort of license, yes. Because if I can make a deal with like I'm the director, editor, like writer,
right.
partly writer. Like if we can make a deal, kind of like what Beatles Get Back,
Yeah.
Looking at something like that, where
so you'd want some credits, you'd want some royalties.
Yes, I want some creative control over it. But yes, I would absolutely, but that's not going to happen. But yeah,
you never know. Yeah. You never know.
And this question has been floated out in interviews. The question of, because this is basically a fan film, people really think that there should be an official film and something like, actual cameras in the room and stuff like that. And I'm all good with that. Obviously I don't have any sort of say in it. It's not
the building's gone. You can't record footage that isn't
well,
there
they
anymore,
mean like not Zoom interviews. They mean like going to the people's houses and stuff like that, like bigger production and stuff like. And of course, I'm fine with that. I mean, like it's not my studio. Like what am I gonna say about it? Like, oh, you can't make it. I can't. Like, I would love for something that like that to happen.
And if that happened, that just draws more attention to your documentary.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're seeing it happen with the Jim Henson thing because Defunctland made a whole Jim Henson series and then Disney made a Jim Henson series.
Yep. Especially if it's something that's trending.
Documentary.
Yeah. It's how social media works.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I set out to make this film not for personal gain. I set out to make the film because I wanted to shed light on the studio, and that's exactly what's happening. So
none of us are doing this for personal gain. It's all for the art, the entertainment. So I get that. I get that. But also, like, you are a YouTube creator and you're not going to put out garbage just because it may be a good story. You're going to put out something that
has substance.
It has substance that can gain the followers so you can impact more people.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's why, that's why I do what I do. I want to make more and more people laugh, and if there's personal gain that comes from it, awesome. But dude, I'm so happy for you. Like I told you, I called you the second that thing ended, after I changed my shorts. And,
you did.
I was so proud of you, and I continue to be proud of you, and just great job.
Thank you.
So let's move over to Ryan real quick. So Ryan, you have some exciting things. So the last time that I was on this, Cases of Continuity was on episode 65 of the Bond series. But you've taken a little bit of a hiatus from that project, but you've got something more exciting, I think, in the fact that not very many people in life get to be a fan of something and then friends of something and then a part of something.
Yeah.
And I I've seen kind of the transformation of you going from a loyal listener to an engaged listener, and then a friend of the group, and then kind of a part-time fill-in co-host to now a full-time co-host of the podcast formerly known as Diz His, and now is into the Disneyverse. So first of all, congratulations on the first 2 episodes.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for the Friends stage to start up with those folks. But other than that, thank you, thank you.
I'm excited for you guys. I
Mhm.
had conversations with Chris early on when you all were starting to think about the rebrand, and was very excited about the direction that you guys were going in. I think that there were some things that you guys did in that first episode that worked extremely, extremely well. I absolutely loved the trivia at the end. I
Glad you
loved
enjoyed
that.
that.
I loved the what do you call them now? Not the quick fire, quick facts.
The facts of urgency.
Facts of urgency. Yes.
We have 30 seconds to get through as many fun facts about the topic as we can.
I have never listened to a podcast and started yelling at my radio more than I did
I
when
have.
when Game Master Ryan stumbled over his words. I'm like, dude, just get through it. I need more facts.
That's every episode of Remy's Roundtable.
It's brilliant. So, what has the process kind of been like for you in taking more of that active role?
Well, sometimes write some histories. I offer up my 2 cents, and then I just kind of roll with the flow. It's not really a specific process, I guess. Behind the scenes, it's, a little bit of pandemonium, different people giving different ideas, and then things not really getting resolved, and then it all kind of clicks into place,
Yeah.
5 minutes before we record, and I think that can often be the best way to plan.
Yeah.
There've been a lot of late night meetings figuring some of these things out as well. I think there was a meeting about a month ago on a Sunday night where Ryan and Alex and I met. Chris was unable to meet, unfortunately, but I kid you not, this was one of the single most productive meetings I've ever been a part of. We created 3 or 4 of these specific segments of the show that night, came up with catchy names for them, very snappy names, figured out how we wanted to lay out the show, and that's, we got theme songs, and that's kind of where everything started from there. So
That's awesome.
the most exciting part, I think, is just figuring out ideas. For example, after this week's episode on Disney's Boardwalk Resort, we have a 2-parter coming up. So I think it's going to be a really neat way to expand the podcasting about how we can change it up from what Diz His was. So we're going to have an episode on the kind of history behind the Great Movie Ride, digging into that. And then the second episode is going to be a 2-parter, or it's going to be kind of 2 different parts where we first play a trivia game about the Great Movie Ride, and then we redesign the Great Movie Ride for the modern world. What if it had remained alive? And so
idea.
looking at different ways that we can expand the show, just playing around with it, because that's really the number one thing for a new show. Playing around with it to make it better.
I love that. I love the idea of kind of, and you can do this with a lot of different attractions, is if you were to, instead of getting rid of it, could you have updated it, and how? I love that idea. I think there's a lot of just amazing things that you guys have done, and I'm excited about it. I'm definitely re-engaged where maybe I wasn't as much. I love the fact that you can revisit old histories that Diz His already did,
Mhm.
and you can redo them because you could do them in a different way with different people, and you're potentially reaching a newer audience or a different audience. So I love all the possibilities that you guys could do. For selfish reasons, I wasn't a listener. I didn't know anybody when they did the Indiana Jones episode.
Mm.
And if you ever do Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular,
I'm going to get Dane on the show.
Yes, sir.
definitely a good choice to have Dane on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who
I
came up
st-
with the name, Ryan?
I think Chris. I might be wrong on that, but
Yeah,
I'm
I think
pretty
that
sure
was one of
Chris
the
came up with
first
the name.
things that they came up with was the name. And then it was because that's a tough thing. And that's what I wanted to ask you is the rebranding process.
Yeah, the name came before the format.
Yeah. In the changing the name of a podcast or changing the name of anything is very difficult. I can think of one major rebrand. The most successful rebrand in American history was
New Coca-Cola.
No, mayonnaise rebranding to aioli. I mean, that was freaking brilliant because now it sounds fancy, it's more expensive, whatever. Anyway, that was a joke that either wasn't funny or went over your heads. I don't know.
No, because it
It
didn't.
wasn't funny.
Mayonnaise
Okay.
is still a thing. It doesn't. If it's a rebrand, mayonnaise wouldn't be.
Listen, Dane, I saw a meme on Facebook and I went with it. Okay.
Okay, that's really funny. You could hit
Thank
us
you.
with a minion
You're
joke
on the
next?
Boomer Facebook
That what
feed,
you're
I
gonna
take
do?
it?
Yeah, the Boomer Facebook. But rebranding is tough. It's scary, especially with the success that Diz has had. It was necessary, but it's scary.
Well, Diz his, and you mentioned the success of Diz his. Certainly, Diz his has had a loyal audience. However, the show was getting stale. It needed an energy boost. It needed change. And, nothing against Chris and Alex. They were doing great things there. But, at a certain point, if you don't start to change things up, then they're not interesting anymore. And kind of in that same vein of keeping the listeners, I think the thing that scares me the most is, we wanted to stay on the same RSS feed to keep those listeners because at the end of the day, parts of the Diz His framework are still there, right? It's not necessarily the same show, but it's the same foundation. But at the same time, from a more practical podcasting creator side of it, I wish we could just delete all the reviews from scratch, both the 1-star and the 5-star reviews, because the 1-star reviews, I don't like them because obviously they're 1-star reviews and they don't really apply to us anymore. But the 5-star reviews also don't apply to us anymore. I wish there was a way to just knock out all the reviews and start that from scratch. So
I hear what you're saying.
Because it's a different show.
Do you have any? Did you have any issues with rebranding, like with Sorcerer Radio?
Sorcerer Radio was honestly so fantastic to work with. We set up a meeting with the guy that runs the station there, and he was super enthusiastic about it. Changed up, what the description and the art on the website and on the Instagram there. We just need to figure out the Discord, but that's through a separate person. But Sorcerer Radio was honestly the least of our problems. They were super accommodating.
It's crazy to me that it takes a whole rebrand of the show to finally get the logo changed on the Sorcerer Radio website.
I think it does still have the hosts listed as Joe, Jen, and Alex, but progress is progress.
It's been 2 years.
That's right. If you watch our YouTube channel, it's still our old logo on the bottom corner.
Yeah.
How was, because you're newer to the show. Oh, and by the way, when you said it's stale, no disrespect to, or no, nothing against Alex and Chris, I think they would be the first two to say it was stale. And not because of them, it just, it needed a refresh.
I mean, it was, the same format, but with less people. And, and one of the beautiful things about Disney's was they had different people filling different spots. And when some of those people ended up leaving and those spots were kind of left vacant, there was almost an imbalance of personalities to a sort. And again, it's nothing against Chris and Alex, but, when there's different spots and some of them are left vacant, it creates a hole, kind of like, when you weren't here on Creators United, Scott.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Well, and also you get to a point where there's so many topics you can do before you run out of topics. When you're doing something for 4 or 5 years, like Diz His,
Diz His hit the 5-year mark.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you're doing topics on Slinky Dog Dash.
Yep. One of the I love the addition of you and Ryan. I think it was the obvious move, but also the right move. And it needed to be at the right time, and this is the right time. And so I'm glad that the timing was what it was, and I'm glad it happened when it happened, and I'm glad that that you guys are part of it. I'm also glad because when it was just Chris and Alex, or even when it was Chris and Alex with a rotating, guest host, it didn't allow Chris to be Chris because he had to be more of an informal, information Chris. I thought that all of you in your new roles on episode 1, because I've only heard episode 1, were in the perfect roles. I even, peeling back behind the curtain, I told Chris that it was so funny listening to him guess which Pirates attraction it was and him saying all of them or all the Disneyland and just
Hong Kong.
I was like, Chris, I don't care if you know every single answer. I was like, you have to play that card. You have to play kind of the village idiot card because it plays, it works, and it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris not having to be as informative and can be that comic relief is what's really going to, because now you can kind of take over that informative role. Both of you and Ryan, because both you and Ryan are probably the two people, and Dane, the three people on this earth that know more about Disney than I do. Especially in our circle, I go to you three for my things, but I think the roles that you all play are perfect, and it's going to bring out the best in all four of you because you guys are in the right place doing the right thing, and playing the right characters, if that makes sense. And I'm not talking about Mags. I'm talking about your personality on the show. I think I'm so excited for the future.
Well, that makes 2 of us.
I think there's more than 2.
See where it goes.
No,
This
that
is
makes
true.
2 of you.
Well, but also, so this is something I noticed too, and this is a testament to the 4 of you and what you guys are doing. I've seen a level of engagement on the Discord that hasn't always been there, and that is the most important thing to the success of a podcast, and that's what what I strived for, strunked. That was my goal with my podcast is to really have
Your
podcast is to really have an engaged community. And when we made the decision to shift from let's build a community around a podcast and decided, hey, let's build a podcast around a community, that's when we started to see some movement. And I love what I'm seeing. I don't always necessarily engage, but I love what I'm seeing. And that's now that there's 4 of you who are super engaged in the success of the podcast, either to see what it can do from a career standpoint, or just because you guys love it and are having fun. It doesn't matter. You all 4 of you are super passionate about it, and it shows in what I'm listening to, and it shows in what I'm seeing on Discord.
So far, have you seen a increase or decrease of listeners because of the
massive increase?
Massive increase. Okay, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, I won't give out specific data, but
never.
Yeah, what's your watch time?
Recent.
Wait, what's your listener? Time?
No, just but we are seeing, things better than they have been, which is very exciting, and an upward trend.
You guys had a very happy coincidence that really played to your benefit.
Didn't an actor from Pirates of the Caribbean die the day we released the episode on the movie?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who died?
It was the actor
some guy.
I think it was the actor who was going to play Jack Sparrow in the new series. I think it was him. He died.
I'm surprised you consider that a happy coincidence, Scott. But
okay,
yeah, it was a shark
attack. Listen, I didn't know about that. I thought that there was like an announcement around the same time about some collaboration or a new project, but some Pirates of the Caribbean was trending in the news.
Oh, because the Fortnite skin? Yeah, Jack Sparrow's coming to Fortnite.
That's what it was. That's what it was. So there was this massive trending topic that you guys didn't know, and it fit in perfectly, which drove a bunch of new listeners, which is and it's great. We all wish that we could catch something at the peak of its trend and be able to capitalize on that.
How crazy would it be like a Twilight Zone episode if our podcast topics end up predicting horrible tragedies for
Oh
the
my
following
God.
week. Like we're doing an episode on the boardwalk in and resort this upcoming week. And then like what if there's a mugging on the Atlantic City boardwalk the following week? Great
That
movie ride, right? We're gonna do an
that
episode
happens
great
every
movie
single
ride.
day, not only
What if there's
not
a
just
horrible
weeks.
tragedy with like, a movie studio burning down in Hollywood that same day? Like that would be crazy.
Just do
Twilight Zone
has
thing.
has Universal Hollywood had a fire yet this decade?
Stop. It can't happen for the next 2 weeks. And
It
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 can happen at the
will.
end of
It
July.
will. I
Not
it's
before I get there.
the
Not
time is
before I get
almost
there.
up. The
Not
time
before I
is
get
going
the
there.
to
time is
California?
almost up.
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh.
So first of all, real quick, remind me when we're off air. I got to tell you something about Boardwalk.
Okay.
So yeah, Darren and I are going to.
By the way, the guy who died, he was a background pirate in On Stranger Tides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those people die all the time.
He was 49 years old.
So yeah, my wife and I are. I've wanted to go to California for decades.
Yeah.
To see the sister parks, Universal Hollywood, Disneyland. So it's something that my wife and I had kind of talked about, but it's tough for us to plan something like that. And if we actually get to take time off together, we want to do a bigger vacation to Mexico, do an all-inclusive Jamaica, something like that. So she's like, well, why don't you and Darren go? And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then she's like, no, I think you guys should. So yeah, Darren and I are going to going to California. We're staying at Disneyland Hotel.
Wow.
Going to Disneyland day 1, California Adventure day 2. We'll park hop to both day 3, and then Universal Hollywood day 4.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, we
Very
fly
cool.
out on a Sunday, we fly back on a Friday.
Oh, that's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
I'm assuming you've talked about that on No New Friends. And I will say, with No New Friends, I don't usually like to listen on a week-by-week basis. The way I enjoy listening to No New Friends is I will stack up episodes.
I do the same
because
thing.
I enjoy listening to them in batches instead. So then I'll listen to them when I'm on a road trip. So I like to listen to, like, I'll like wait 10, 11 weeks, and then I'll listen to a bunch at once.
Dude, I get it. I get it. The funny thing is, as passionate as I am about what we all do and supporting each other, I don't listen to podcasts.
Oh, I don't either.
If I'm not, and I do listen to mine, but not for the reasons that you think. It's not because I'm a narcissist or anything like that. It's hang on one second.
It's
and
probably
like, I can
boost
relate to that too. Like I have listened to 243 episodes of Diz His in the past 4 weeks, just in trying to think about ways that we can get better. And that's how I've come up with different episode ideas and suggestions, things like that. That's why we're doing a Mike Leisner episode later this month. So
yeah,
good idea.
I've always wanted you guys to do a Michael Eisner episode. I'm so excited about that because
I'm very excited for that.
He's my favorite CEO.
Really?
Yep.
Not Walt Disney?
No.
Well, he was never CEO.
Eisner's my favorite CEO, but only before
I think most people's
Frank Wells
favorite
passed.
CEO is.
I think
most people's favorite CEO is Eisner.
When Wells
people
passed,
like Iger.
Not anymore.
Well, we can discuss that off air.
Yeah, we can. We can.
Eisner was my favorite. When Wells passed away, Eisner lost his ear or his voice of reason.
Sure. He only built Animal Kingdom after that, but go on, Scott.
Nah, it was probably already in the plans.
Yeah, it was. For sure it was.
Anyway, we were talking about Into the Disneyverse. We were talking about
He also built California Adventure. You can't forget that. Love that part.
Yeah, the first version though.
I know. That's my favorite version.
You like Superstar Limo?
Absolutely. You kidding me? Absolutely.
Yeah. I lost what I was Into the Disneyverse. I don't remember.
Well,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
I've lost my train of thought.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah, no. So I listened to my podcast, not because I'm a narcissist, but I listened to it once before it releases to make sure it sounds good. And to see if I missed anything in the editing, because Alex does so much in the editing that a lot of times, once I find that cold open, my editing job is done unless I know that there's something I need to go back and listen to. I add the music where it needs to go, and that's it. I'm done. So I have to give it a listen. And then I listen to it on YouTube when it comes out because my YouTube channel is monetized. So if I can get a half a cent,
Yeah, sure.
why not? But that's other than that, I listen to real radio. That's it. I don't listen to a bunch of podcasts. So I'm with you. When I find one though that I'm like, oh, I love this, I'm gonna binge a couple episodes until I lose interest. Like I started listening to the Full House podcast with Jodie Sweetin and Andrea Barber. Lost interest. I was listening to the Glee episode or the Glee podcast. Lost episode or lost. Wow, what is wrong with me? I lost interest. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I think No New Friends is really the only show that I listen to on a consistent basis because I've listened to Disney. I obviously listen to Disneyverse, but I don't want to steal the like topic ideas. I've talked about that before.
yeah, you've talked about that, and I think that I understand your reasoning, and that's why I don't think I listen to a bunch of other podcasts, but I feel like for me, I've got the ability to take an idea that maybe they use and change it up so much that you don't recognize that idea, but it
Like
maybe
Niels Wants to Know into Jersey Man, Florida
yeah,
Man.
like to the naked ear, unless you've heard me say that.
Like the monorail segment. Just completely steal the segment.
Well, they stole that segment from Tom and Dan, who does the elevator segment. But
Or
no,
like doing a Patreon takeover episode.
did I do that?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but then you showed up when I was hosting.
But that was just you hosting. That wasn't a Patreon takeover. That was I wasn't going to be there. Didn't
That's
think I was
true.
going to be there. And
Scott,
wanted
let
you
me
to host.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Lord. I know where you're going.
If your significant other died in a supervillain
Black
attack.
Widow.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I still don't understand
Nice
that
and easy.
decision.
I don't understand the question either.
Yeah. What is wrong with me? I'm losing my train of thought. I'm too
You
old.
are. You
I'm
are.
getting too
I
old.
can rescue you here. I have a question for us.
Go
Oh,
for
you
it.
do? Oh, what's your question?
It's actually a listener submitted question,
Oh, God.
Oh, uh-oh.
and I don't remember what it was, so I had to find it. Why is Hollywood Studios both the best and worst theme park in Orlando?
That is a great question.
It is. Thank you, listener.
That's a really good question.
Is this your like official question of the day? Like, is this the
Yeah,
segment
yeah,
now?
yeah,
Oh, God.
yeah.
Okay.
I love this question. So
I just think it's the worst.
There's a lot here. I know you do.
So it's the best because it has Galaxy's Edge, which is to me the coolest land that Disney has to offer.
I disagree.
That's fine.
I would go Liberty Square.
It's up there. It's up there.
For me,
Did you hear that's where they're gonna have the debate in the Hall of Presidents Theater?
Stop. For me, I love the Hollywood theming, the movie theming, even though it's kind of gone away from that. What makes it the worst is it's a half a day park that it still takes you a full day to experience because of Star Wars. A lot has been lost. It seems unfinished.
No, it is unfinished.
Well, everything's unfinished according to Walt, but
that's true.
It feels like because when it first opened, it was so themed to we're going to show you how we do the movies. It was okay that it just looked like a movie studio because that's what Hollywood Studios looks like. Is it looks like a movie studio?
Well, that's not just what it looked like. That's what it was.
Right. You're right. You're right. So all of that made sense. Walking down the streets of New York made sense. The streets of America with the houses from the shows, all of that stuff made sense. But because they've lost their way in that being the theming, it just does. There's areas where it just doesn't do it for me anymore. Like especially around Echo Lake. Echo Lake just looks.
Oh, I love the Echo Lake area.
I love Echo Lake, but like if you just look around and you look in like the old animation courtyard and to the side of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway, like in front of the everything just looks undone. and it looks out of place to me, and it just looks very Six Flagsy, where it was like we're trying to be ultra themed, but we're not doing a very good job. And that's the thing is the theming that Hollywood Studios once was is no longer, and I think that the entire park needs a major overhaul.
Oh yeah,
I think
I agree.
Galaxy's Edge and Sunset Boulevard are the only good things about that park. And I like Star Tours.
I think
Everything else I think is garbage.
Galaxy's Edge is worse than Echo Lake.
Echo Lake doesn't have anything.
At least it's not. It does. It has prime time.
So it doesn't have anything. Prime time is a garbage restaurant, and no one will change my mind.
What?
I disagree with Ryan and or whoever said Galaxy's Edge is fantastic. I agree. Galaxy's Edge, Sunset Boulevard, and then for me, and I understand why people don't like it, but for me, the Indiana Jones Stunt Show. Those are the three areas that I tend to gravitate towards, and Star Tours. I think Toy Story Land is a hot mess. One, it's a mess. Two, it's the hottest area at any Disney park.
It's also the point I always like to bring up about Toy Story Land, because I agree entirely with you, Scott. When Walt Disney created Disneyland, he wanted a place that families could go to, not just places that were geared only for kids. And to me, Toy Story Land appears to be a kiddie land. And
Toy Story Land, but the thing about Toy Story Land is that it has a family coaster and it has family rides. You're not telling me that only a kid is going on Slinky Dog Dash.
I don't think that's what Ryan means. I don't think Ryan means that the attractions are only attractions that kids can experience and enjoy. I think it looks
because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a kid designed the thing in its backyard.
It's the same thing as Storybook Circus to me.
See, I don't necessarily agree with Ryan's point. I do understand what he's saying. I think that I'm okay with the theming of the land. The problem for me is it's such a small area.
I agree with this.
So
this I do agree
busy,
with.
And it's so hot that it's just miserable for me. There is zero shade.
Yes.
There's not and it took down some really cool attractions, and I think Disney missed the mark on that. I think what we lost when we got Galaxy's Edge, I think it was worth it.
Yes, yeah.
What we lost in Toy Story Land, I don't think it was worth.
Same for Runaway Railway.
It was the same attractions, though. It was where the Eiffel Tower was. It was backlot, pretty much.
Well,
you didn't lose anything else. You got a new entrance to Toy Story Mania, and you lost what? Legend of Jack Sparrow or something?
And Narnia.
I didn't go
and
during that time.
the building that and that was a.
But at least they were inside, which is something.
Yeah,
desperate. And also, like, I think Launch Bay is the second biggest waste of space in the entirety of Walt Disney World.
Yes,
second only to the empty show building in Germany.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Wonders.
I was gonna
say Wonders is a bigger waste of space.
I think there's three wastes.
All right,
of space.
so then three.
Wonders, the empty show building in Germany, and Launch Bay 6. And I think for me, I think Launch Bay 6 is the biggest disappointment because that's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's always hope that at some point we'll get something at Wonders. At some point
we're never going to get something Wonders. In Germany.
No, we're never.
You may not, but also a lot of people don't know about it.
That's true. But it'd be nice to have something that would eat up people like Launch Bay does.
100%.
Launch Bay doesn't eat up anybody.
Not anymore. Are
you kidding me?
It used
no one goes there. But no one knows it's there.
It's stupid. It's stupid because you have Chewbacca over in Galaxy's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
You have BB-8 over in Galaxy's
Edge. You have these characters that they obviously do not care about this timeline that they've created for Galaxy's Edge because you have Mandalorian and stuff like that roaming the land. So
I do have a fourth waste of space.
Yeah, a listener just
Cruiser.
Commented Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
Star Cruiser, though, at least that's being that building is I've heard being used for cast member things, and it's not in
And
a
it'll
park.
end up getting used again for something.
And
but-
it's not in a park like these
Right.
other buildings are.
Yeah, but like in that same by that same logic, Wonders of Life is being used to house urban explorers, like
Not
or it
anymore.
was.
They actually lock the doors. What a concept now.
Wow.
They didn't
Man,
before.
keys, huh?
Yeah, they didn't
They
before.
That's
are
a
actually
magic key
using that
tour
building
for ya.
though for
Yes, they are.
other stuff.
Yeah.
Launch Bay 6 needs to go, and there's so much space back there. But that's the thing. And here's the thing.
Tell me about it.
Here's the thing. Because of the garden, which they will never, I don't think they will ever destroy that garden. I
No,
don't
they
think we
would
ever
never-
get
we should
anything
never
but
touch
Launch
that
Bay
garden.
6 over there.
I think we get something else. I think they don't
Maybe
touch
another meet and greet.
No, yeah, I think they honestly,
Making it an inside out meet and greet.
yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they just make it another thing like Magic of Disney Animation was during the very end.
Yeah.
Like,
although
bringing back the animation experience thing that's currently
yeah.
over in Animal Kingdom. But to me, I mean, to me, Hollywood Studios is my favorite park. It will always be my favorite park. But current Hollywood Studios, to me, is stuff that they can't fit in Magic Kingdom. They throw in Hollywood Studios because
But then
you
stuff that
have
should go in Magic Kingdom, or what should go in Hollywood Studios, they put in Magic
they
Kingdom.
put in Magic Kingdom,
and it dies Alien Encounter.
yes,
Like,
because
Alien Encounter should have been at Hollywood Studios.
yes, and you have
I would argue
stuff like
Tron
Hollywood.
makes more sense at Hollywood Studios.
I agree with you.
I don't.
think
but
computers
I don't. I would say that fits in Epcot more than it does in Hollywood.
It fits in Epcot.
I can see
yes.
that, yeah.
That fits in Epcot better than Guardians, and Guardians would fit better.
Guardians
in
fits
Hollywood
way
Studios.
better
agree.
in Hollywood.
I would say in Tomorrowland, honestly, than and Epcot too.
No,
I can see it because space travel.
no,
could-
they
you-
try to.
Like, yeah, next to Space Mountain, it doesn't make sense. But at the same
That's-
time, it's got a
that's
Space
true. It
Mountain
is-
feel to it.
It is.
You could.
space,
You
yeah.
could. They could. I think that
It
if they
could go
would've put-
where the raceway is now.
Yeah, they could have put
Anything
Guardians
should
in
go
Magic
where the
Kingdom.
raceway is now.
Yeah. They could have put Guardians in Magic Kingdom, and we would have accepted that a lot better than putting Guardians in Epcot.
Well,
Do I
especially
agree
because
that-
they try to make this stupid storyline of it's educational because
Yeah.
you're learning about the
It's considered a new
Xandar.
country.
It's a made up
pavilion.
planet. It's a fake planet. You're not learning shit at that attraction.
it was Disney's way to put an F ticket attraction because it's bigger than an E ticket attraction.
Yeah.
You know, their chance to put an F ticket attraction like a Rise, like a Flight of Passage
Mhm.
in
Epcot.
Epcot. It's just
Park
the
that
wrong
desperately
thing.
needed it.
The thing
the
The
about
issue is now Magic Kingdom doesn't have any huge
No,
F-tier
it doesn't.
attractions.
except Tron.
Tron.
But
No,
that's
it's-
a
that's not
a
F-tier.
minute and a half experience.
It's
You want to feel
Tron
like
is-
Scott in bed, you go to Tron. A minute and a half pleasure.
But okay, so Ryan, what I would say is okay, well, Magic Kingdom doesn't have an F ticket attraction. You're right. But I think that they have more E ticket attractions than any of the other parks.
This is true.
It's true. Because, I mean, really, Animal Kingdom only has 3 attractions that are at tier or higher.
Animal Kingdom also has 9 attractions. Animal Kingdom has a huge attraction issue. Animal Kingdom has
So
more
does
of an
Hollywood
attraction.
Studios. Hollywood
I
Studios
think-
and Animal Kingdom.
Animal
should
Kingdom
be
has a
one park
way-
together.
Animal Kingdom has a way bigger attraction problem than Hollywood. Because at least
No.
yes, it does. Because Animal Kingdom has 3 big e-tickets and 1 show. It's not even a big people eater show. It's a show. Hollywood Studios at least has a people eater show. Animal Kingdom has the up bird thing. That's not a people eater show. That's probably what? How
got
many
Nemo
people eat
What
and,
about
Lion
Nemo and
King.
Lion King?
this?
And Bugs.
Oh, that's true. Bugs is going away though, and that's not
Yeah.
a huge.
But you have Lion King and Nemo.
That's true. I forgot.
And I would argue Lion
lose.
King and
I do
Nemo
forget.
together are more than the current shows at Hollywood Studios.
That's true.
No, because I think
Unless Beauty and the Beast is
capacity-wise,
pulling in more than I thought.
Beauty and
I-
the Beast. There's no way Beauty and the Beast is pulling in more than you.
I think, well, you've got 3 that I think
Indiana
fit
Jones,
mo-
Beauty and the
fit-
Beast, and then once Little Mermaid returns, then things will change.
Frozen.
Oh,
That's
Frozen.
That's
I think
that's
you
true.
have.
Well,
I
Muppet
think,
Vision is not pulling in the people it used to.
no.
No.
That's
Like
why I
compared
didn't
to Tough to Be a Bug, especially, which is crazy to say.
Tough to Muppet Vision gets more than Tough to Be a Bug. There's no way that Tough to Be a Bug gets less
I
than
think a lot of
It's
people
probably
don't know that
like
Tough to Be a Bug is even there.
it's probably like the same amount of people or like slightly less. I don't think there's any way that Tough to Be
And
a Bug
Bug's
gets.
Life is so irrelevant now.
Well,
It's an
it was
irrelevant
put there
IP.
like Beauty. It was supposed to. It was put there like Beauty and the Beast. It was supposed to promote Bug's Life, and then it just never went
Just
away.
like Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland.
Yeah, well, that was not gonna go away.
Well, yeah, but it was still built to promote.
But the thing
something.
about Hollywood is that you have these lands like Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard and Echo Lake that are very much themed to Hollywood. And then you go back to Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. First of all, Galaxy's Edge is behind a paywall half of it. So you can't even experience half of the things that you are meant to experience and that you are promised to be experiencing. Like the lightsaber and droid things. Lightsaber costs $250 to get into. And then the droid thing costs, I think, 150 or 200 or something. It costs
You don't
a
have to
lot
pay
of
anything
money.
to go into the
Yes, you do.
shop.
Yes, you do. To build your own lightsaber.
Oh, to build one, yes.
The main thing that we were promised that
Compare that
this
to
is
building
gonna
a
be
wand
really
at Harry
cool-
Potter, which is much cheaper.
Yeah, and something that we were like, you were like, hey, this is going to be a huge thing in this land that you are going to be able to do, and then it's behind something that not a lot of people are going to be able to afford.
Don't even get me started on the Universal versus Disney Harry Potter versus Galaxy's Edge, because I could.
And then the half of the things that were promised then for Galactic Star Cruiser that they again didn't deliver on, that were supposed to be in Galaxy's Edge for free. They didn't put that in the land when they initially built the thing. So
Dane
it's like
is fired up right now.
You put all these things.
I should mention
in
at
there,
this time,
and then
Dane
you
is
put
the
it
one that
behind a
requested this
paywall.
question as well.
It was. I was the one. You go to Galaxy's Edge and you can't experience half of the things, and then you go to you go to Pandora. For example, you go to Pandora.
The biggest issue, though,
and it's
is that
so
Disney
much
has two parks that are half-day parks and are a full, significant bus ride away from each other. Universal's parks are right next to each other. And yes, I know Epic Universe is going to be further away, but the fact still remains. Universal's got that walking distance that you're going to experience in California, Scott, with Disneyland and California Adventure.
The thing about Islands of Adventure,
it's a themed attraction train ride away from another park.
I would argue that Islands of Adventure is facing as many issues as Animal Kingdom is.
No. Islands of Adventure at least has Hagrid's and
it also has two huge lands that no one cares about.
Dane's not wrong, but
let's be honest, if Jurassic Park didn't have Velocicoaster in it, there could be three huge lands.
No. Seuss Landing is a better kiddie land than Toy Story Land.
Yes.
Because it's actually a kiddie land. Toy Story Land is a family land.
Dane's talking about Lost Continent and Toon Lagoon.
Oh, and Lost Continent. Well, I was also talking about Seuss Landing. I guess there is three because I didn't even think about
disagree with you on Seuss Landing.
I forget that Lost
Seuss Landing
Continent
is
even
much
a thing
better
because it's not even land anymore.
Yeah, Dane, I disagree with you on Seuss Landing. Seuss Landing is amazing. It's nice and spread.
Here's the thing. It's a good land. I'm not saying it's a bad land.
Better themed.
Not saying I'm not saying it's a bad land at all. But what does it have to offer? It has to offer a lesser version of People Mover, something that we have like 15 of in Disney World with the what is it?
One fish,
two fish thing, and then Cat in the Hat, which is going to close like probably in the next 2 years. So you look at those three lands, and it's like Lost Continent is not even a land anymore. Seuss Landing has things that are going to be closing in the next 5 years, I would say. And then Toon Lagoon, no one knows that IP. And here's the other thing. When I ask you this question,
still has two good attractions.
And what? Ripsaw Falls, Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
People are going to keep riding flume rides regardless. Like
this is
it's
true.
A classic. And people are going to keep riding river rafts. It's a classic, regardless.
Let me ask you this.
Popeye, people still know who Popeye is.
Let me ask you this, and you guys will probably know this. What is Islands of Adventure's theme?
Live the adventure.
No.
Oh.
Different islands spread out, and each island representing a different themed area, right?
Close. It is themed to novels. because Seuss books,
Crichton's
Marvel
Jurassic Park.
comics,
Huh.
Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, Toon Lagoon. Now, how
I've
many of you
never thought of
knew that
that.
before I said that?
Oh, what
Didn't
about
know
Lost
that.
Continent? Was Lost Continent?
Lost Continent was based on like
Yeah, because you had the Eighth Voyage of Sinbad
Atlantis and stuff like
and
that. Yeah.
Poseidon's Fury.
Yeah, Lost Continent was a mash of a bunch of
Yeah, that was
stories,
more of your
like
outlier,
pre-existing
but
stories.
I never
Hmm.
put that together.
Yeah, I've never heard that specifically before. That's interesting.
Universal was films, and then Islands of Adventure was novels.
Huh. He's not wrong. Like he is.
Mhm.
Wow.
I would argue that it still holds that up better than Hollywood Studios holds up to its original.
Yes.
I would agree.
I-
I would
it-
agree with
it-
that.
I agree with both of you, Dane. I think it faces some problems.
Mm-hmm.
That I think a year or two after we get Epic, Universal circles back and corrects those problems. They have no money for that right now.
This is true.
Which is fine because in my opinion, and I've always been more of a Disney fan, I'm more interested in what Universal has to offer now, especially with the opening of Epic Universe.
Mhm.
Yeah. The other thing that bugs me about Hollywood Studios is that the thought of a studio park, like a film lot park, besides Universal Hollywood, that idea is a flawed concept because everything besides animation works so well because it doesn't matter that there's people on the other side of the glass. When you're filming things like in Nick Studios, this was a huge problem. When you're filming things and you have people tapping on the glass, making noise, or these, Streets of America, what are you going to do? Close half of the park for an entire day? It can't be done. So there's not a lot of things that can be filmed in these sound stages and on location like this.
I don't think that Hollywood Studios, or when it was MGM Studios, was necessarily intended to be a movie studio that was also a theme park. I think it was a theme park about movie making that maybe sometimes we do some filming. Same thing with Universal
it was a little
Orlando.
Bit of both.
Universal Orlando, other than the sound stages, it was a theme park that happens to also be a movie studio, whereas Universal Hollywood it's a movie studio that happens to also be a theme park.
And I think that's the trouble of trying to build an amusement park with something that people work at. Like Dane, you live, relatively close to the Hershey factory with those tours, which is based entirely around making chocolate, and people can tour. Same thing. I live relatively close in driving distance from the Ford factory.
Well, I will
tour the
say,
Ford factory, but it's where cars are made, and you can tour. Hollywood Studios is the complete flip side.
I will say that Hershey's tour is not actually a real tour.
No, but you can take a bus to the factory.
Oh, yes, yes. I thought you were talking about Chocolate World.
Yeah,
I was
I
have some news for you,
World.
RJ.
And that's exactly it, Ryan, RJ, Mags. You're 100% right. With the exception of Universal Studios Hollywood, these Orlando parks were not intended to be
I think
the
animation tour changed that idea though, because they were actually making legitimate films.
They need other things too.
And then the live action was making Mickey Mouse Club and the lottery starring Bette Midler.
I think it's a question of, are we bringing guests to where people are doing work, or bringing workers to where guests are? And it's a lot harder to bring workers to where guests are than to bring guests to where workers are. Like that's the difference between the Ford factory and MGM Studios.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's been good to be back. I missed this. We didn't have time to get into my mental health and some of the reasons why.
We'll get to it later.
We'll get to it
or
on
the
another
national
episode.
Parks. All right.
Or national parks. But thank you for listening to Creators United. It's been a great time. It's been nice to be back. So on behalf of Dane, Mag, Sophisticated Gentleman, RJ, Ryan, Sophisticated SG, Trivia Tour Guide Ryan. Did I get them all?
I lost count.
Oh, Giles Garman.
Giles Garman. It's not Nile Rodgers. It's Giles. Giles Garman.
On behalf of all of them, make sure you check out Big Beautiful Diz on YouTube, Into the Disneyverse on all podcast streaming platforms, and then, of course, No New Friends podcast. I'm Scott. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Scott,
And Scott,
we love you.
we missed you.
Missed you too.